know what it is. I feel like the more intense the fights have got, the more intense that the fight camps have got, the more chilled he's become. But I think that's because he's just so focused on the job in hand that nothing will get in the way. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's moments that he'll bite my head off.
Come on, Conor. And it was just, it's just hard. It's just a hard situation.
Listen, we know what we've seen, like I said, in regards to what Conor has put.
And gets himself arrested this morning. This is obviously very disappointing. Let me tell y'all what happened, because I'm familiar with that. It's a damn shame, but I promise you that's all that happened. I'm willing to bet my check. That's all.
Conor Benn's wife has revealed a shocking truth about what life has been like around him, and it explains everything. With the ongoing drug test controversy hanging over his career, Ben has been living under constant pressure. Every training camp feels tense, every word carries weight. He's on edge, a fighter ready to explode at the smallest spark. It's not just a test of skill in the ring anymore. It's a battle to keep his focus and his composure when the noise outside won't stop.
It will back him no matter what he decides. However, we will steer him away from being a fighter.
Ben has spoken out like any father would, fighting to defend his son and protect the family name. But emotion alone can't erase what's already written in the headlines. The failed tests still hang heavy, and no speech, no matter how heartfelt, can change that record. Nigel's conviction is strong, but the world remains skeptical. Behind his words, you can sense the weight of frustration and the desperation of a man trying to shield his legacy from being overshadowed.
Hi guys, as you know, we're in total shock. I've been with my son for the last 10 weeks and the training has just gone absolutely the best it could ever been. He's a dedicated trainer, he leaves no stone unturned, and we'll get to the bottom of this. I love my son. I know he don't cut no corners, he just goes straight at it 100%, but we'll keep you informed.
Just as the defense starts to ease, Johnny Nelson cuts straight through with unfiltered honesty. He's not in the business of sugarcoating. Nelson points out what many are quietly thinking. Boxing is tiptoeing around Conor Benn's failed tests, hoping the controversy will fade. But the reality is far from that. The issue is simmering beneath the surface, and no carefully worded statement can cover it forever. Fans aren't blind, and their patience is running thin.
Not our this is about this week. Let the board, let Conor, let Eddie deal with that sort of stuff, because that's their hot potato. It's not our issue. And when it all comes out, then we can comment on it fairly.
Lee Mallister attempts to stand in Conor Benn's corner, but even his defense feels shaky. The reality is simple. Failed tests can't be brushed aside with sympathy. Boxing fans have long memories, and trust isn't earned through excuses. Benn's legacy isn't being questioned because of whispers or rumors, it's because of evidence on record. And right now, no one feels the weight of that more heavily than the very promoters backing him.
Personally, I do not think that Conor Benn would have intentionally took steroids. And that's just my opinion. He's a young, fit, strong guy. I do not see why he would need to do that. And even moving up weight, I don't see why he would need to do that. He walks about that way anyway. But for me, the key is, like I said,
Johnny Nelson's response captured the mood perfectly. Confusion mixed with frustration. The questions keep piling up, but the answers never come. If Ben is innocent, why hasn't the truth been laid bare? And if he isn't, why is he still being allowed in the ring? The entire situation feels messy, with Ben's camp relying on statements instead of clarity. Meanwhile, Eubank's quiet approach says more than words, focused, composed, and waiting for the chance to prove his point all over again.
There is going to be, there needs to be an inquiry straight after this, why, what. But that's what I'm hearing. This news is as fresh to me as it is you. I'm quite sure when this goes out, it'll be all over the place anyway. But all I can say is he passed.
Duke McKenzie summed it up perfectly. Conor's real weakness isn't strength, it's ego. He entered the ring believing he could push Eubank Jr. around like an inexperienced fighter, but Eubank's patience and ring IQ left him looking out of his depth. Those wild punches from Conor weren't signs of confidence, they were signs of panic. The contrast was clear. One man fought with calculation, the other with emotion. Eubank didn't just win. He stripped away the illusion and showed everyone the gap in class. The painful truth is the comparison with his father, Nigel. Nigel built respect through heart and discipline, while Conor is still trying to fight with emotion alone. Respect in boxing isn't demanded, it's earned round by round.
Style Conor Benn. Conor Benn's not a massive puncher, not even at welterweight, so really, he's kind of mugged himself off a little bit by saying, I'm going to knock this guy out. He didn't give Eubank enough respect. Like I say, he was throwing shots at several points in that fight, and he wasn't even looking where they were going. It was just like head down, just winging the shots over.
Eddie Hearn finds himself in damage control once again. You can sense the strain in his tone as he tries to steer through a storm that just won't pass. When the board refuses to approve a fight, it's more than business. It's a warning sign. Hearn is left juggling lawyers, media scrutiny, and a fighter whose reputation is already on shaky ground. On the other side, Chris Eubank Jr. remains unbothered. No scandals, no excuses, just performances in the ring. The contrast is striking. One man battling to clear his record, the other letting his record speak for itself. Fans aren't fooled either. They don't want polished statements. They want honesty and accountability.
What their statement is actually saying is that we're not sanctioning this fight. There's ongoing conversations with the lawyers and the British Boxing Board of Control. Obviously, we want everyone to be comfortable. Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. are aware.
Jr. lays it out with brutal clarity. No act, no fake grin, just honesty. He isn't only speaking for himself, he's speaking for the sport. In his view, a failed test ends the discussion. Conor may lean on lawyers and promoters, but Eubank slices through the noise. His words aren't just lines. They're a reminder that integrity matters more than excuses. People often laugh at his personality, yet right now he's the only one refusing to compromise on principle. This isn't bitterness, it's a demand for fairness. And the way he says it, calm and certain, you get the sense he already knows how the story closes. Him moving forward, while Conor is still stuck defending himself.
You fail his drugs test, you don't get 50-50 split.
No matter commercial power pulling, no.
You don't get 50-50 split.
Eubank Jr. doesn't mince words. His intimidation is raw, personal, and calculated. You can see the difference between a man trying to prove himself and one who already has. That cold smirk behind his insults, it's all part of the strategy. He isn't just threatening Conor Benn. He's dismantling him piece by piece, confidence first. Every word drips with experience. Wars fought, knockdowns survived, heartbreak endured. Yet he still stands taller than the noise. Benn, by contrast, reacts with emotion. He swings back with words the way he swings in the ring, wild, unmeasured, desperate. That's where Eubank wins. Not in the punches, but in the mind. Dead boy walking isn't just a taunt, it's a prophecy. Eubank knows Benn's fire burns too hot too fast, and when the bell rings, raw emotion won't save him. This isn't just boxing anymore. It's vengeance, wrapped in sport.
Yeah, keep us gonna fuck you up. Yeah, keep us gonna fuck you up. Yeah.
Watch what happens.
Yeah, watch what happens. Dead boy walking, yeah? Dead boy walking, yeah? Yeah, you're lucky.
Tony Bellew steps in with the realism of a man who's lived the brutality of rematches. He calls it straight, fair but fiery. Timing, he says, decides everything in boxing. For Conor Benn, time might be his only ally left. He's younger, hungrier, desperate to rewrite his story. But youth doesn't always guarantee victory. Eubank Jr.'s experience and composure make him a threat even when battle-worn. That first fight scarred him, yes, but it also sharpened his edge. He isn't chasing redemption, he's chasing domination. Meanwhile, Benn's camp scrambles to repair a reputation still bleeding from failed tests and public doubt. Bellew's warning cuts deep. Urgency matters, but rushing in could backfire. The faster Benn pushes for redemption, the quicker Eubank could bury him again. This rematch isn't just about winning, it's a gamble between redemption and ruin.
He ain't coming back down to 160, so it's got a very short lifespan, this rematch. It's got to be done, the sooner the better. If I'm being brutally honest, the sooner the rematch happens, in my opinion, it favours Conor Benn, because he's the younger fighter who's took less damage and has had a much lesser career with much less experience. For someone like Chris Eubank Jr., it's going to take a while to turn around, and it's going to take a while to recover, because that was a hard fight for him. He was shook a number of times, he felt the shot.
Duke McKenzie captured it best. That night was more than punches. It was pride, legacy, and national rivalry rolled into one. The Benn Eubank name still carries a weight only British boxing can understand. The atmosphere felt like history repeating itself, but beneath the roar, the story isn't finished. Benn fights for redemption, Eubank for confirmation. McKenzie's right, clashes like this are rare, gripping a nation and splitting fans like a derby. But this rematch isn't about hype, it's about reputation. Every ticket, every flashbulb piles pressure on Benn, because when the bell rings, nostalgia won't protect him. Only the truth will, and Eubank's right hand may deliver it with finality.
Yeah, like I say, the fight wasn't a letdown because it was a good fight, but as an event, you won't get a better event than that, and they'll have to go some actually to surpass that, or even equal that. Let's just hope they get the same turnout in terms of the numbers, people going through the live gate and watching that fight, because it was a great event. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. You won't get world title fights that actually are.
Carl Froch strips it down to reality. This isn't about belts or rankings, it's about ego and paydays. And that's why it's magnetic. Two men born into boxing royalty aren't fighting for titles anymore, they're fighting for legacy. Benn's chasing validation, desperate to erase the stain of failed tests. Eubank's chasing closure, the final stamp on a rivalry that spans generations. Froch cuts through the hype. Boxing is business, and in business, emotion costs you. Eubank controls it. Benn doesn't. That's why Froch's take stings, because it's true. When the bell rings, family pride fades, and all that's left is money, legacy, and survival. Only one man leaves with his head high, and Froch is betting it's Eubank Jr.
For me, it's a fight that probably means a lot less for boxing than what it does for the actual fighters. You know, the fighters, for them, there's a lot at stake. Conor Benn wants to overturn the decision. Chris Eubank wants to cement the decision and say, I've done it twice. Bottom line is they're making big bunts, aren't they? Big dollar, and they might as well make money. These are prize fighters. We can't begrudge them making money fighting. So.
And here we are, the storm before the storm. Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. isn't just another fight. It's a clash of legacy, revenge, and redemption. One man fights to rebuild his name. The other fights to bury him for good. The tension is thicker than ever. Every interview, every stare down, every word dripping with unfinished anger. If Eubank Jr. wins again, it won't just be victory. It'll be dominance. Proof he's the smarter, cleaner, mentally stronger fighter. A message to every critic. Integrity still matters. But if Conor Benn pulls off the upset, the headlines flip overnight. From scandal to redemption, the fallen sun rising again. Yet everyone knows, this isn't really about belts or bragging rights. It's about who can take the heat when everything's on the line. The nation is split. Half cheering redemption, half demanding justice. So the question is, who are you backing when the bell rings? Eubank's composure or Benn's desperation? Because this time, pride, blood, and legacy are all on the line.